Will the Israelites have Hamites as slaves in the kingdom of heaven? Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, ahchyam, Yahweh Shai, ahchyam Rachakwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, ahchyam, Yahweh Shai. And this is going to be a response video to a video that was uploaded by Vocab Malone, who did a debate with a guy who go by the name of Naquam Shayala. And basically they were debating whether if Hamites would be slaves to the Israelites in the kingdom of heaven. Now, for you brothers who are new coming into the truth, the Africans are the biblical Hamites. Okay, a Hamite is somebody who will be a descendant of Ham, and who the world calls Africans today will be your biblical Hamites. Now, in the Holy Scriptures, they are not called Africans. Okay, there's no such thing as an African. And as a matter of fact, the name Africa comes from a Roman general who went by the name of Lucius Scipio Africanus, and this was a man who defeated Hannibal during the Greco-Roman Empire period. Okay, and after he defeated Hannibal, he also conquered other areas of Egypt, and then called that land after his name. Okay, now to show you who the ancient Egyptians are, okay, the ancient Egyptians were Africans. Show you right here. Now up here in Google, right, I typed in Bible ancient Egyptian statues, and what do you see right here? You see the picture or the face of someone depicted as an African. Okay, archaeology evidence tied to Pharaoh. Now, these were the Egyptians. This is what the Egyptians looked like during the time of Moses. Okay, and you also have ancient Egyptian paintings on walls. Okay, also you click right here, right? Okay, ancient Egyptian creation myths. Okay, what do you see right there? That their facial structure resembles that of a Hamite. Okay, these are what the Egyptians looked like during the time of Moses. Okay, these are paintings of Egyptians during the time of Moses. Okay, you see that brown skin, because there's no such thing as a black person. We are different shades of brown. Okay, okay, brown skin. Okay, big lips, you got the nose. Okay, okay, ancient Egypt history, dynasties, religion, and writings. Okay, what do you see right there? Big lips. Okay, nose. These are what the ancient Egyptians look like. This is what the original Egyptians look like during the time of Moses. Okay, so point proven, the Africans are the ancient Egyptians. Okay, okay, you scroll up here, And what do you see? Check this out. Okay, the ancient Egyptians during the time of Moses were dark-skinned people. Ramesses between Horus and Anubis, okay, which those are just Egyptian mythologies, okay? Horus and Anubis are just Egyptian mythologies. They are idols. Go ahead and close out this. There's no need for no extra windows, okay? Okay. Here you go. Look at that. Different shades of brown. Life-size Egyptian guardian. You see that? That's a Hamite. That's an African right there. So the ancient Egyptians were dark-skinned people. Okay. Which also proves that the okay, look at that. Okay, you see the features, big lips, nose. That's an African. Okay. Okay, ancient Egyptian paintings. See what comes up here. Okay, let's go to images. Ancient Egyptian paintings. What do you see right there? Brown-skinned people. Okay, brown-skinned people. So the ancient Egyptians, the original Egyptians in the land of Egypt during the time of Moses were dark-skinned people. Now, and if we come over here, right, this also proves that the Israelites during the time of Moses, okay, were also dark-skinned people. And I say during the time of Moses because in today's time, even though the Israelites are the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians, not every Israelite is going to look like a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native Indian. Okay, so there's going to be Israelites that's going to look like people of the other nations. But if your father's lineage on your father's side goes back to a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native Indian, you are an Israelite, because the true Hebrew Israelites are in fact the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. Okay, because our nation had been scattered on the four corners of the earth, so not every Israelite is going to look like Denzel Washington or Wesley Snipes. Okay, you're going to have Israelites that's going to look like people of the other nations, but their father's lineage on their father's side goes back to a so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indian. And the reason why we say on your father's side is because your nationality is based on who your father is. The man carries the seed, which the word seed goes back to the Greek word sperma, which is where you get sperm from. Okay? Babies, children are made from men's semen. So your nationality is based on who your father is. Read Numbers chapter 1 verse 18. Okay? So Exodus chapter 11, but during the time of Moses, okay, our nation was not necessarily scattered, okay? We became a nation in the land of Egypt. Okay, so you know, all of the Israelites, we all had our brown skin during the time of Moses. But in the book of Deuteronomy, a part of the curses that will fall upon us was that we would be scattered on the four corners of the earth. Okay, and that scattering started with Jeroboam in the book of in the book of First Kings. Okay, that scattering started with Jeroboam in the book of First Kings. Okay, So the northern tribe got splitted from the southern tribe. And then from there, the southern tribe went into various captivities, starting with the Babylonians, then the Persian and the Medes, and then the scattering really took place during the time of the Greeks. Okay? And then during the Roman persecution of 70 AD, the Israelites, the southern kingdom, the so-called Negroes, the Jamaicans, and the Haitians fled from Jerusalem down into Africa, and into, various parts of Europe, Germany. That's why, there's history of our people ruling Europe, ruling Germany. Some of our people were living in Japan, which is where you get the Sengoku period from. Okay, research the Sengoku period. That's the samurai period, because those samurais were Israelites. Those were our people. Those samurais, those ninjas, okay, those were our people. Which during the Sengoku period, which Sengoku means devil. Sengoku means devil. So yeah, during the devil period, because you had the ninjas, which were Israelites, which were traitors to the samurai. Okay, traitors. They were traitors. They were hired to assassinate samurais, because the samurais, which the word samurai means holder of the law. We upheld the laws down there in Japan. Okay. And then we also had Israelites in China. Okay, that's where you get the dynasty warrior period. Okay, like you ever heard of the game Dynasty Warriors? Okay, yeah, Dynasty Warriors. The army of Wu, the army of Wei, the army of Shu. Okay, the three major dynasties. You had the army of Wu, the army of Shu, and the army of Wei. Those were our people that was basically ruling in China. Okay, and basically it was war between there was war between the three empires for total dominance and prominence and providence over certain regions in China. Okay, and even during the Sengoku period, you had traitors amongst the samurai. Okay, so we've been scattered all over, man. Down there in Europe, we had knights. Those were our people. Knights, gladiators, warriors. So we've been scattered amongst all of these nations. Okay, the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians, which are the true biblical Israelites, have been scattered amongst these other nations. And the women that we was having babies by amongst these women of the other nations, our children came out looking like the people of those nations. But the babies that was coming out of those women were Israelites. Why? Because their father, which was either a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native Indian, was an Israelite. Is an Israelite. But during the time of Exodus, during the time of Moses, okay, every Israelite had brown skin and woolly hair. Okay, and this is proof right here, Exodus 11:7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. And what was the difference between the Egyptians and Israel? The spirits. Okay, you look at the Africans, they're a bunch of weirdos. They like to bathe. They like to stick their head underneath a cow while the cow is pissing, and literally let the cow piss on their head. They literally bathe in cow piss. Okay, they make houses. They make tents out of doo-doo, mud, sticks. Their facial paint is made from feces. Chemicals. They commit cannibalisms. They have all kind of weird practices. These are the Africans we're talking about. Okay, we don't do those kind of things. Okay, but the reason why this is written, that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel, is because we were dark skinned. The Israelites were dark skinned just like the ancient Egyptians, as I showed you in some of those pictures. The Israelites were dark skinned just like the ancient Egyptians. But the difference between the Egyptians and the Israelites were the spirits. Okay, because we Israelites have a totally different spirit from those Africans, which proves that the Africans and the Israelites are not the same people. Okay, so these Africans, which are these Egyptians, they had us in slavery, in hardcore bondage. So before I play this video, let me do this. Exodus 1 and 13. Got it. And the reason why I brought out Exodus chapter 11 verse 7 is to further prove that these Africans are going to be our slaves in the kingdom. So let's play this video here. Okay, so right here, Vocab Malone had a debate with a guy who went by the name of Naquam Shayala. And here he says, originally titled, Will Israelites Own African Slaves in the Kingdom? Vocab says no, and Naquam Shayala says yes. Well, Naquam Shayala have gave the correct answer, and I will prove that to be so.
Just throw it out there is that I don't agree with the term African. It's good to have you on, and I ain't gonna be disrespectful or anything. I'm gonna just admit I don't like you, so just put that out there. But I am gonna try to be as respectful as possible. And if anytime you feel like I'm saying anything that's really offensive, you can point it out. I'm gonna try my best not to offend. Scripture say exercise not to offend, because I really want to make sure questions get heard. Now, as far as the topic of today, the topic as you can see, is will the Israelites have African servants in the kingdom of heaven? Now, I just want to say for disclaimer purposes already, just throw it out there, is that I don't agree with the term African. We have people in Africa. So when we're dealing with African, I'm talking about people that are in the continent that are not Israelites. Any non-Israelite people that are in Africa, because we have people in every continent, including Africa, and they've been in Africa for thousands of years. So I'm not talking about all people of Africa. You even got white South Africans. Those are
in which everything he's saying is accurate. Right? Remember, Africa comes from a Roman general that conquered that region, who went by the name of Lucius Scipio Africanus. Okay? Now, and a matter of fact, because Lucius Scipio Africanus, he defeated Hannibal. Okay? And after defeating Hannibal, he conquered the rest of that region. Then he named that he named that continent was named after him. I don't know if that's Psalms 80. I don't know, man. That's Psalms 49 and 11. So let's see. So this is the book of Psalms. Just to make a point real quick. This is the book of Psalms chapter 49 verse 11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. Now this is talking about so-called white people right here. Okay, and this is really starting with the so-called elites. They have the mindset of they're never going to be taken down from power or rulership. Okay, that is the mindset they have. They have this mindset of they're going nowhere. Nobody is going to take them down. Nobody is going to stop them. Okay, so their inward thought is that they're going to be in rulership forever, because who's in rulership today? So-called white people, starting with the so-called elites who call themselves Rothschilds and Rockefellers. They have control over the whole face of the earth through their monetary banking system. Okay, and they don't believe that they're ever going to be taken out of power, but they're wrong, because they are going to be taken out of power. Okay, who the world calls Jesus, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh. When he returns, he's going to be the one to take them out of power. So the inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Case in point, America was named after a traveler and a geographer. His name was Amerigo Vespucci. Okay, he was a person who specialized in making maps. Okay, so America was named after Amerigo Vespucci, and America is the feminine way of saying Amerigo. Okay, Africa was named after Lucio Scipius Africanus. Case in point, there's no such thing as an African. Okay, African comes from Scipio Africanus.
Included in the Africans that we're talking about as well.
So just because you come from the land of Africa does not make you an African. Okay.
The Arabs, the Turks that are out there in Egypt and throughout Africa, those I want to make sure that those are addressed as being African, especially since a lot of them was claiming they're African to some degree. Now, brother, I tell we was gonna dialogue and go back and forth in a respectful manner. I want you to go ahead and ask your first question, and and I'll be sure to answer it. And if you don't mind, towards the end or towards the middle, I have some questions as well.
So you're saying you just want me to ask you a question?
Yeah, and I really want you to clarify why you're asking this question. Clarify why why you want to actually talk about this specific subject.
Well, yeah, okay. Let's start there. The reason why to talk about this specific subject is a lot of times when people discuss One West eschatology, they'll overly focus on white folks, and I think that's a mistake. I think that's an error. I don't think that really paints a complete picture. People discuss One West. A lot of times when people discuss One West eschatology, they'll overly focus on white folks, and I think that
wrong. We do not overly focus on white folks. We get on all the nations. So that's the very first lie you told in this video. We don't overly focus on white folks. It may seem like that because the so-called elites are in rulership and y'all are the main problem of the earth, but we do not overly focus on so-called white folks who are the biblical Edomites.
That's a mistake. I think that's an error. I don't think that really...
How is that a mistake? How is focusing on the main enemy of the Holy Scriptures a mistake. No, you are sadly mistaken.
Paints a complete picture. I think that when we have these discussions, it's also important to discuss the One West Hebrew Israelite view of other nations as well, from that perspective. Because a lot of people know about the 12 tribes of Israel chart. Not a lot of people know about this 18 nations idea, though. And each one is supposed to be able to trace to each people group is supposed to be able to be directly linked up or made equivalent, with a nation in the Bible, modern people group. And
didn't we just prove that? Okay. I don't need to type in ancient Egyptians to prove to you that the Africans are the ancient Egyptians and are the biblical Hamites. Okay? In the matter of fact, Vocab Malone, your own people, Vocab Malone, even they will tell you that Africans go back to Ham. Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. Ham, the youngest son. Let's see. Okay, now this is from the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary, a book that you can order online. Okay. Hold on, hold on. Okay. This is from the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary that you can order online. The Zondervan's Bible Compact Dictionary was created from your people, Vocab Malone. Now, this is written in the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary, okay? We're not just linking people, back to the Holy Scriptures. We got evidence to back it up. Okay? Zondervan Bible Compact Dictionary, an actual book that you can order online from the web. Now, this is what is written in the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary. It says, Ham, the youngest son of Noah, takes center stage. Okay, so I'm gonna start right here. Okay. So here, I'll just start at the top. Where Zondervan Bible Compact Dictionary, Ham, the youngest son of Noah, takes center stage. Our goal is to provide a wealth of information, analysis, and discussion on this captivating subject to bring together a community of individuals who share a passion for Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Okay? So here it says, Ham, the youngest son of Noah, and to explore all the fascinating aspects of the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. So here, let's start right here. Now go to Zondervan Bible Dictionary and look up the word Ham. Okay, Ham, which goes back to the Hebrew word chum, which means hot. Okay, so Ham, and really the land of Africa, before it was called Africa, it was originally known as the land of Chum. C-H-A-A-M, Chum, okay? The land of Chum, which means hot, because Africa is a hot land. Why? Because it's very close to the so-called Van Allen equator belt. Okay, so Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the what? But the what? The Egyptians? Let's read that again. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes. So this proves that so-called black people are not Africans. Okay, Africans come from Ham. So-called Negroes come from the line of Shem. And down the line would come who? Jacob. Okay. So in actuality, we are the true descendants of Jacob. So-called Negroes come from the line of Jacob, from the tribe of Judah. So-called Negroes come from the tribe of Judah. Okay. Jamaicans come from the tribe of Benjamin. Haitians come from the tribe of Levi. Cubans come from the tribe of Manasseh. Dominicans come from the tribe of Simeon. Okay. North American Indians come from the tribe of Gad. Okay. Guatemalans to Panamanians come from the tribe of Zebulon. Okay. Colombians to Uruguayans come from the tribe of Asher. Argentinians to Argentinians, they come from the tribe of Naphtali. Mexicans come from the tribe of Issachar. Okay. Seminole Indians come from the tribe of Reuben. Puerto Ricans come from the tribe of Ephraim. Okay. Oh yeah, Argentinians to Chileans. Argentinians to Chileans come from the tribe of Naphtali. Okay. Okay. And forgive me if I got any tribes, but I've been studying them. Okay. But the head and top tribe of the nation of Israel is the tribe of Judah, and so-called Negroes come from the tribe of Judah of the nation of Israel. Okay, so the nation of Israel consists of 12 tribes. Okay, so Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites, which are all the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites are Africans. Those are your Africans. Okay. So vocab Malone, even your own people will tell you that Africans, the Africans lineage goes back to Ham. Okay. Now again, just because you live in the land of Africa, just like Nakwash said up here, okay. Just like not Nakwash, just like Naquam said up here, you know, just because you live in the land of Africa does not make you an African. Okay. Okay. But those tall, black, slinky, ugly, big lip, weirdo ass people living in the land of Israel, they go back to Ham. So we're not just lining people's lineage up with the scriptures. No, we got evidence to back it up. So, you know, Just vocab Malone being the snake that he is.
And on that, you would have Hamites as non-Israelite Africans, and you would have the 12 tribes chart,
which is accurate,
distinct from that. And so the idea is, if you're a Hebrew Israelite, and now say in America.
And by the way, I also just want to say this: the credit goes to High Priest Ariah. Okay, he was the one who created the 12 tribes chart. Okay, and when he created that 12 tribes chart, it was all based on long, hard research. Long, hard research. You know, he didn't just wake up one day and, oh, so-called black people come from the tribe of Judah. Let me write it. No. Okay. He went through various studying of books, researching, and ultimately the Holy Spirit, the Ruach Kodash, which was sent down from the Heavenly Father Yahweh through His Son Yahushai, was working through High Priest Ariah when he made the 12 tribes chart.
You would say, yeah, my ancestors lived on the continent of Africa. They were not Hamitic. They were Semitic people, or Shemitic, as some people prefer, you know. And so there, what do we got? We got a situation where if it is true that there's an eternal kingdom that has people on the 12 tribes chart on top and everyone else on bottom, then what you'll have is a situation where in this schema of things, you'll have eternal slavery for the other nations. Now, for the so-called white folks, not them, it's only 1,000 years. But for the other nations, eternal slavery of some form or another. So you have this idea.
Well, you're wrong there, because even after the other nations served their 1,000 years of slavery in the kingdom of heaven, then they're going to be released. Okay, they're going to get their own land. They're going to have their own inheritance. However, they're going to be tributaries to us. Okay, they're going to be tributaries to us, and yes, they are going to be our servants, which the word servant means, which is the polite way of saying slaves. But we're not going to have them. We're not going to have these heathens in eternal hardcore slavery, like how we're going to have them in hardcore slavery for 1,000 years. No, after the 1,000-year period, the Edomites will be deleted from off the face of the earth, and the other nations, they will get their inheritance. They will get their own land. They'll have their own inheritance, but they will have to live by the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Holy Scriptures. Okay? But we're still going to have them as servants. And even you so-called white people, after you're deleted from the face of the earth, you're going to come back through the loins of the other nations in the kingdom. And guess what? You're going to learn righteousness. Okay? Point blank, period.
Idea of that includes African slaves, which when I think about civil rights, and when I think about...
Well, guess what? The civil rights that you speak of is based on westernization, okay? Civil rights in the Holy Scriptures is not the same as westernization civil rights. Because even here in America, okay, Israelite civil rights is not the same as the civil rights of so-called white people. You know, so-called white people, you know, their civil rights can get them out of a pickle if they get in trouble with the police. If we get in trouble with the police, what civil rights do we have? We ain't got no civil rights. We get in trouble by the police, we get arrested, and we get thrown under the jail, depending on the so-called crime that was committed against y'all penal code. Because y'all don't live by the law, statutes, and commandments of the Holy Scriptures. Y'all live by something that is called a penal code.
even the struggle to overcome apartheid. A lot of
Okay? True civil rights is found in the Holy Scriptures, okay? Like for an example, if civil rights in the Holy Scriptures would be like if a man is caught stealing, right, he is to pay back according to that which he stole. That's real civil rights right there, okay? If a man smote a person in the eye, right? If a man smote a person in the eye, then guess what? He has the right to return the punch. If a man knock out another man's tooth, guess what? He has the right to knock out that man's tooth as well. If a woman grabs a man by his nuts and she ruptures his balls, right? His stones. Okay, you know what his civil rights is? Her hand got to be chopped off. If a woman that is a Levite is caught playing the harlot amongst the nation of Israel, you know what the civil rights? You know what right she have? To get burnt with fire. If Israelites were, and I'm talking about civil rights that Israelites abide by back in the ancient world, okay? If somebody amongst our nation, the nation of Israel, was caught talking about, going a whoring to worship other gods, you know what right they had? To get stoned. If a woman committed adultery against her man, you know what right she had? To get stoned. If a person murdered another person, if an Israelite murdered another Israelite amongst our nation, you know what right the murderer had? He had to be put to death. But here in America, if somebody amongst our nation committed murder against somebody else amongst our other nation, he gets thrown in jail. He still gets to live. He gets thrown in jail. Okay? If a woman commits adultery against her man in this society, she gets away scot-free. Nothing happens to her, right? And if something does happen to her, like she might get beaten, she might get punched or kicked, the man gets thrown under the jail. So guess what, Vocab Malone? The civil rights of this Western society is not the same as the civil rights of the Holy Scriptures. So guess what, Vocab Malone? Don't you dare talk about civil rights. Okay? Don't you dare talk about civil rights, Vocab Malone. Because the civil rights of the Holy Scriptures is not the same as the civil rights of this Westernization society.
that was like over the slaves. Which, when I think about civil rights, and when I think about even the struggle to overcome apartheid,
Let me ask you this, Vocab Malone. Since you want to talk about civil rights, right? Now, in the scriptures say that he that stealeth a man, if he be found in his hand, he shall be put to death, right? Well, and whose nation are the Israelites in the hands of? But I bet you won't answer that question because you know the answer. The Edomites. We are in the hands of these Edomites. Okay? The scriptures say, all they that devour thee shall be devoured. Okay? So, according to the civil rights of the Holy Scriptures, right? All they that devour thee shall be devoured. So what right do these heathens have as touching their future judgment. They have a right to be slaves. Correct? That's according to the civil rights of the Holy Scriptures.
A lot of that was like overcoming unjust treatment of people that would be, people would say they're descended from Ham. A lot of that is to overcome.
But wait a minute, did not the Hamites treat the Israelites unjustly during the time of the Egyptians, during their war against the Philistines?
Unjust treatment of people who people would traditionally think descend in some way from Africa. And I think that's a good thing, to overcome those injustices and call those injustices out and say we should.
But you don't even know what real justice is. The word justice goes back to the Hebrew word just, which means righteous. It means balanced. And a matter of fact, let me come over here and do this. The word justice comes from the word just, which means righteousness or balanced. So let's see what the scriptures have to say about righteousness or righteous. This is the book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 6. Seeing it is a righteous, a justice thing with Yahweh to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. There you go. The word recompense means to pay back. So who have troubled us in the past? And Paul wrote this 2,000 years ago. Even during the time of Paul, Paul was being troubled by the Romans, by the other nations. Seeing that it is a righteous thing with Yahweh to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. So you want to know what true justice is? Getting payback on the ones that troubled you. That's real justice. Okay, so guess what? The Lord is going to give his people, the Israelites, true justice, which is what? Righteousness. Seeing that it is a righteous, it is a just, it is a justice thing with Yahweh to recompense, to pay back tribulation. What does the word tribulation mean? Trouble. To pay back trouble to them that trouble you. You see that? Okay. So true justice is what? Eye for eye, tooth for tooth, nail for nail. So don't talk about justice or injustice, vocab Malone, because you don't even know what the word just goes by. In this society, injustice goes on every day. A woman commits adultery and she gets away scot-free. She gets to continue walking around committing whoredom. You know, somebody amongst our nation commits murder against somebody else. Okay, that person might sit in prison for a couple of years. If he have enough money, he can literally pay his way out of prison for committing murder. Okay, two fruit flies get together, right? And they get to hold hands. They get to persecute, those that say bad things about them. Don't you think that's injustice? Because according to the scriptures, okay, fruit flies are supposed to be deleted, especially if they commit sodomy. So don't speak about injustices, because injustice goes on in this world every single day. Why? Because the unjust is in rulership, the wicked is in rulership, which are the Edomites, and that's starting with the so-called elites, trickling down to the rest of their nation, the people.
Did not do those things, whether it's apartheid in some way from Africa. And I think that's a good thing, to overcome those injustices and call those injustices out and say we should not do those things, whether it's apartheid, segregation, Jim Crow, obviously antebellum slavery, those kinds of things, redlining. I mean, it's a long list, right? Well, Hebrew Israelite of the oneness variety eschatology says, no, actually, slavery is a good thing. It's just who's in charge. That's the question we got to ask.
Oh, yeah. You're absolutely right. Slavery is a good thing. I just read it in 2 Thessalonians 1:6. Okay? And a matter of fact, let me support your point, Vocab Malone. Let me support your point. Okay? Let me support your point. Revelation chapter 13, verse 9. Okay? Revelation 13, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. Okay? In other words, if any man have the understanding, let him understand. Because hearing is another representation of understanding. If any man can understand, let him understand. He that leadeth into captivity. What is captivity? Another word for slavery. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Now, if we come up here, right, because the Israelites have been under various captivities under every single nation. Okay, what do you think the Persian Medio Empire was about? It was about the Persian and the Medes having the Israelites in slavery. Okay, who do the Medes descend from? Japheth. Okay, which before that place was called Russia, that place was called the land of the Medes, because Japhetic people were ruling in those areas. Okay, and the Persians, who were the original Persians? Those are your East Indians today, the Elamites. Okay, did not Moab and did not the Chinese and Japanese have us in slavery as well? Okay, China, those skyscrapers down there in China, all those buildings down there in China, who built those skyscrapers? Who built up those businesses? Our people did. Down there in Japan, who built up those buildings? Who built up all those business and corporations and factories? Our people did. And despite all of their hard work, guess what? They got kicked down to the slums. Watch the movie Kung Fu Hustle. They give you a good idea. It gives you a good idea of how our people, the Israelites, that look like Japanese or Chinese people are living down there in China or Japan. That's what those slums and reservations look like down there in China and Japan. That's how our people are living. Just watch the movie Kung Fu Hustle. Okay, they give you a good idea of how the Israelites are living down there in those slums. Okay, right, because right after the Chinese and the Japanese people used our people to build up all those businesses and corporations, okay, they were kicked. They were kicked all the way down to the slums. And that happened both in China and in Japan. Okay, so every nation under the sun had us in captivity. But I'm gonna focus on the Egyptians, which are the Africans here. Exodus chapter 1 verse 13. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. Let's look up that word rigor. So it is a righteous, a just, a good thing with Yahweh to recompense, to pay back trouble, tribulation, to them that troubled the Israelites. Because who was Paul speaking to when he wrote that letter? He was speaking to the Israelites. Seeing it is a righteous thing with Yahweh to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you, the Israelites. So everyone who troubled the Israelites, that had the Israelites in captivity, are going to receive. They're going to receive they're going to receive that same punishment. Their asses are going into slavery. So look. This is the definition for rigor from the Blue Letter Bible. Okay. Parak. Okay, it's parak, as you see right there. And what do you see right here? They made the Africans, the Egyptians made the Israelites to serve with harshness, severity, cruelty. You see that? Cruelty. So guess what? While we were building those treasured cities, we were getting whipped on the back. They were kicking us around. They were beating us, punching us. They were jumping us. Okay? They was probably spitting on us, raping our women, killing our children, using our children as sacrifice. Like, you really got to think about these things. You see? So don't try to make it seem like, because the spirit that you're coming in, vocab, you're coming in that Christian spirit. Forgive everything that your enemy has done to you. Forgive your brother. That's your brother. Nah, man, that's not how the Lord operates. Okay, that's not how the Lord operates. Okay, this is how the Lord operate right here. Okay, the scriptures say, who can know the mind of the Lord? That's what the scriptures say. The scriptures say, who can know the mind of the Lord? Well, do not the Lord speak through his holy prophets, presuming to the book of Luke chapter 1 verse 69 to 70? So basically, this is what the Lord, the Heavenly Father Yahweh, through his Son, this is what they said through John the Revelator. This is what they said. This is the mind of the Lord right here. Revelation 13 and 10. He that leadeth into captivity, he that leadeth into slavery, shall go into slavery. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints, right? Galatians chapter 6 verse 7. Be not deceived, Yahweh is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. He that leadeth into captivity, which is slavery, shall go into slavery. The Lord is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So if you sow putting a nation into slavery, your nation is going to receive slavery. They're going to get slavery. So these Hamites, these Africans, they had us in slavery, and they treated us with cruelty. They made us to serve with rigor. Okay. Verse 14. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage. What does the word bondage mean? Slavery. Okay. So the Egyptians made the Israelite lives bitter with hard slavery, hardcore. So these Africans, which they called themselves Egyptians back then, okay, them black tar babies, them Africans, which called themselves Egyptians back then, they made us to serve hardcore slavery in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve with rigor, with harshness. You see that? With cruelty. Okay, now check this out. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, right? Now, when it said see them upon the stools, because back in the ancient world, okay, when women used to give birth to children, it was different from how women give birth to children in this time and age. You see, the proper way for a woman to give birth to a child would be she would sit upon the stool. Okay, the stool it would take the form of, how do I explain it? It would take the form of a toilet, okay? Except it wouldn't be a toilet. It would be like, it would look more like a chair with a hole in the center of it, okay? And basically, the woman, she would sit on the chair, right? She would sit on the chair. She would sit straight way up, and then as the baby would come out the womb of the mother, right? The man, he will hold his hand. He will hold his hand at the bottom of the he will hold his hand at the below the chair, below where the hole was at, okay? He will hold his hand below the chair where the hole was at, so that he could catch the baby as it was coming out of the mother's womb. Like, you see what I mean? So that's what a stool was back then. So basically, the king of Egypt, what he was saying was that if he saw a Hebrew woman, right? If he saw a Hebrew woman that was giving birth to a child upon the stools, right? While she was sitting upon the stool giving birth, right? If it be a son that came out the womb of that mother while she was giving birth to him, then ye shall kill him. So they was killing our babies the moment they came out the womb of the woman. You see that? The ancient Egyptians were killing our babies the moment they came out the womb of the woman. So if it be a son, ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then shall she live. And the reason why they would kill the sons was because again, your nationality is based on who the father is. If that baby, which was a son, grew up to be a man, right? If that baby grew up to be a man, then that baby had the capability of giving birth to more Israelite children, because again, your nationality is based on who your father is. Read Numbers 1 verse 18. So they would kill off the male Israelite child. Okay, they would kill off the male Israelite child in order to slow down the birth rate. In order to slow down the birth rate of Israelites being born into the land. Okay, so guess what? Birth control, that's nothing new. They look the U.S. government, the Illuminati, these Edomites that run the Illuminati, they got the idea of birth control from the ancient Egyptians. So they will literally kill off the male Israelite child at birth. Okay, that's why Ecclesiastes 1:9 says that there is no, I think it's Ecclesiastes 1:7, there is no new thing under the sun, or is that Ecclesiastes 1:9? Okay, but yeah, there's no new thing under the sun. But you see, so yeah, man, this is what the Egyptians did to us during the time of slavery. So Galatians 6 and 7, be not deceived, Yahweh is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Revelations 13 verse 9, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity, he that leadeth into slavery shall go into slavery. So every nation under the sun that had us in slavery, they're going into slavery. Matter of fact, let's go to Jeremiah. Okay, Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 16. Okay, Jeremiah 30 and 16. Therefore, all they that devoured thee, how were we devoured by these other nations? We were devoured by these other nations when they had us in slavery. Okay, therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them shall what? Shall go into captivity. It said all thine adversaries. What is an adversary? An adversary is an enemy. Yeah, that's right. The Israelites have enemies. Okay, hell, there's even enemies amongst our own nation. They're called the 2/3. Okay, they're called the 2/3. The 2/3 of the nation of Israel. But guess what? They're not going to be slaves in the kingdom of heaven. Okay, because when the 2/3 of our people come back through the loins of the elect in the kingdom of heaven, they're going to be perfect. They're going to be righteous. Okay, they're going to be rulers too, but they're not going to be on the same level as the Lord's elect of the governing body. But even they're going to have substance. They're going to have, even in the kingdom of heaven, the average 2/3 amongst the nation of Israel, the average 2/3 amongst the nation of Israel, they're going to be far richer than you heathens out there. So let's read that again. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured. So all of these nations that had us into captivity, they're going into captivity. And all thine adversaries, all of your enemies, every one of them shall go into captivity. So if you're not an Israelite, you're an enemy of our nation. And guess what? You're going into captivity. You're going right into slavery. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. And what's the proof that the Lord will give these heathens to the nation of Israel for a prey? Well, let's go to the book of Psalms. Okay, the book of Psalms chapter 2 verse 8. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost part of the earth for thy possession. There you go. So we're going to have these heathens as our possession, which means what? We're going to have these heathens as slaves, and the Africans are not exempt from that. The Africans are going to be our slaves. Now let's go back here, Jeremiah 30 and 16. Let's read this in the NLT. Okay. Okay, and yeah, you see, they went off there. Is there a Good News translation in this one? Probably not. Let's look at the NIV. Yeah, see, so Jeremiah 30 and 16 is where it's at. Okay, they shall go into captivity. Okay, all of the adversaries shall go right into captivity, right into slavery. And that's in the King James Version of the Bible.
According to that perspective, it's just who's going to be the slave master and who's going to be the slave. And it's mind-blowing to me to think you have one West Hebrew Israelites who believe they're going to own black slaves in the kingdom. And it's not just people that...
Wrong again. Those Africans are not black. They are different shades of brown. Now, while some may look black because they are very, 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 very dark brown, but there's no such thing as a physically black person. Okay, you see where my cursor's at? That's black. Ain't nobody on the planet that color. Black and white was invented by you so-called white people. Okay, before you so-called white people rose up to power, people weren't being called black, okay, or white. Black and white was created to support white supremacy and to further oppress and keep our people down on the bottom. There's no such thing as a black or white person.
You would think of like people that they would think would be assigned Judah. That means people from the designation of Naphtali, you know, light-skinned Chileans with black slaves. It's pretty mind-boggling to me. And I'm just trying to understand how people can wrap their head around that being a...
Well, wait a minute though. Back in the ancient world, did not Israelites have other Israelites as slaves? Yeah. That's nothing new. Okay? That ain't nothing new. Yeah, Israelites used to have other Israelites as slaves back in the ancient world. So seeing a light-skinned Chilean with a dark-skinned slave, that's nothing new. Hell, even here in America, did you know that Israelites owned Israelites as slaves in the kingdom? Yeah, because you know what the so-called white man would do? The slave master? Yeah, remember vocab. Remember, you was probably one of those slave masters or one of those slave overseers. Which a plantation overseer was a person who made sure that the slaves were doing their jobs. But you know, believe it or not, the slave master he would set up other Israelites to be slave overseers. Now, while the Israelite plantation overseer did not have the same privileges, authority, or power as the slave master did, you know, all he had to do was sit down in a chair and make sure the slaves were doing their jobs. Okay. So slaves having other slaves, so Israelites having other Israelites as slaves is nothing new. So I mean, I don't see why that would be mind-boggling to you. Did you know that during the time of slavery, here in America, what was it? 200 something years ago. Vocab Malone, you probably don't know this, but did you know that so-called white people was putting their own people in slavery? Did you know that, vocab? Did you know that so-called white people was putting their own people in slavery? Did you know that, vocab Malone? What do you think Chicken George is all about? Chicken George was an Edomite that was born from a so-called black person. And the reason why I say he was an Edomite because his father was an Edomite. His father was a slave master. And basically he took a Israelite slave woman and he raped her. He had sex with her and out of her came who? Chicken George. Chicken George had brown skin, woolly hair, but he was still an Edomite because his father was an Edomite. But guess what? Despite his skin color, they still put his ass in slavery. Because you Edomites are carnal. Y'all judge by the outward appearance. So because Chicken George had brown skin and woolly hair, they still made him go out there and serve slavery. So Chicken George, well, he was an Edomite, but he was a slave, was he not? And guess what? He was not the only one that was put into slavery. There were many tares during the time of slavery that was out in the field serving slavery along with the Israelites. There were many Edomites that were out there in the slave fields serving slavery, all because of their skin color. Okay, nothing new under the sun. Guess what? There's Edomites that are slaves today. What do you think it means when you have to work a 9 to 5? There's Edomites that have to work a 9 to 5. You're a slave if you have to work. Okay, Israelites are not the only ones working a 9 to 5. Shit. So how the hell is that mind-boggling to you when you see a Argentinian with an Israelite slave? And just because he was a light-skinned Argentinian does not mean that he was from the tribe of Naphtali. Remember the tares in the wheat. Okay, he might have looked like an Argentinian, but he could have actually been an Edomite. Okay, what's the name of that dude who killed Mike Brown? Oh man, hold on. One moment. I forgot his name. Fucking something. Okay, let's go to Google. Okay, was it Trayvon Martin or was it Mike Brown? Okay, the police officer. Just because he looked like a Argentinian does not mean that he was from the tribe of Naphtali. That person could have been a tear. The name of the officer that killed Michael Brown. Michael Brown. Wilson. So, no, it wasn't him. So, let's type in Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin. Here it is, George Michael Zimmerman. This dude right here, okay? So let's type in this man right here is a tear, okay? You see that? He looked like he would be from the tribe of Issachar, right? His name is George Michael Zimmerman. Let's get the image on this motherfucker right here. This dude right here, look at that. He looked like he would be from the tribe of Issachar, you know. He looked like he would be a Puerto Rican. But this dude's a tear. Okay? His father's a small hat. Hey, his father is from the tribe of Amalek. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong. He looked like a so-called Mexican. He looked like a so-called Puerto Rican. But according to the scriptures, he's a tear. Okay? This dude's a tear. His father goes back to a small hat. So what's your point, vocab? You know, it's mind-boggling to me when I see an Argentinian with a black slave. Look, there's nothing spiritual about Edomites, man. Nothing spiritual about you. Okay. Here it is. This dude looked like a so-called Mexican, or he even looked like a so-called Puerto Rican. Okay, but his father is a small hat from the tribe of Amalek. Okay, this dude right here, George Zimmerman. This dude right here is a tear. Okay. He's a straight up tear. He's a descendant of Esau, in other words, because his father A small hat is a descendant of Esau. So like I said before, man, just because that person looked like an Argentinian does not mean that he was an actual Israelite. He could have been a tear that looked like a Argentinian from the tribe of Naphtali. He could have looked like it, but he could have been a tear. Because around those times, Esau was the one rising up into power, and the Israelites were the ones who were being put into slavery.
Biblical notion that I'm just trying to understand how people can wrap their head around that being a biblical notion, that being a biblical idea. Because what I see in Scripture is we are slaves, but we're either slaves to sin or slaves to Christ. And Paul uses that word over and over again, doulos.
So let me interject real fast for a second, because you just said something there at the end, and I'm gonna make sure we address, but
I hate to break it to you, Vocab Malone, but there is no we when it comes to being slave to sin. You know why? Because the only ones who can sin are the Israelites. What is sin? 1 John the 3rd chapter, sin is transgression of the law. Who were the laws, statutes, and commandments given to? Well, let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 147, verse 19. Okay, just a moment here. Psalms chapter, who were the laws, statutes, and commandments given to? Okay, you Edomites, you cannot sin, because the law, statutes, and commandments were not given to you. The law, statutes, and commandments was given only to who? The nation of Israel, by the hand of Moses on Mount Sinai from the Lord. Okay, the law, statutes, and commandments was given to Moses on Mount Sinai from the Heavenly Father Yahweh to Moses to give to the Israelites to observe and to keep. So this is the book of Psalms, chapter 147, verse 9. This is the book of Psalms. Excuse me a moment. Let me scroll down here. This laptop is being slow. Okay, the book of Psalm, chapter 147, verse 19. Okay, it says, He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation, meaning he have not given his laws, statutes, and commandments to any other nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. So the only nation that the laws, statutes, and commandments were given to were the Israelites, which are the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. So you Edomites, you have no part of our inheritance. So don't talk about, are we slave to sin or no. The only ones who could be slave to sin are the Israelites, which are the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians.
Clarify everything you said before. But when you say we're a slave to sin, and then you say we're a slave to sin or Christ, right?
And the only ones who could be a slave to Hamashiach Yahawashi are the Israelites. Because only the Israelites can follow who the world calls Jesus Christ. So vocab, you just cut yourself, dude. Okay, the only ones who could be a slave to Yahawashi are the Israelites. Okay, and guess what? I'm a slave to Yahawashi. Yeah. I'm a slave. Are we not servants of the Lord? What do you think? What do you think we're talking about when we say we are servants of? Lord's will. I'm a servant of the Lord. I hope to be of the elect. What do you think it means when we say we are servants of the Lord? Remember, the word servant is a polite way of saying slave. Okay, The word servant is another word for slave. The only difference is that servant is more of a polite way of saying slave. Slave is a harsh way of saying servant. Okay? So yeah, we are serving. When I say we, I'm talking about the hopeful members that are of the elect of the nation of Israel, the Israelites. Okay? We, hopeful members of the elect, are servants of the Lord. So guess what? We are slaves to Yahweh wa Yahweh Shai. That one day the Lord will raise us up to be kings and priests and rulers, proper rulers over the planet Earth. So the only ones who could be slaves to Yahweh Shai are the Israelites, which are the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. In vocab, just like Apostle Tahar said, you better pray and hope that you're an Israelite. Because if you're an Edomite, you're done, man. You're through.
Now, those are two forms of slaves, right? When you're a slave to sin or a slave to Christ, that don't involve getting your back beat in, getting whipped, getting put in chattel slavery as a whole with your people. Now, when you say we are slave of Christ, do you mean by you, as far as yourself, and your people? Do you consider y'all slaves in the manner that my people went through as far as slavery here?
Yeah, there's been a lot of Christians who have been slaves. And so in the future, Christians are going to be slaves of Christ. So when I talk about my people have been in slavery as Christians.
Now,
in the future, we're slaves of Christ.
Is Christ going to be beating y'all back in and whipping y'all and, doing pretty...
In the future, we're slaves of Christ.
Is Christ going to be beating y'all back in and whipping y'all and, doing y'all how y'all did?
The answer is yes. Who the world calls Jesus, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, he is going to be whipping Edomites on the back. That's going to happen in the kingdom of heaven. Okay? He's going to be whipping Edomites on the back. He's going to be beating them down. Yeah, that's actually going to happen in the kingdom. That's going to happen to Edomites, and it's also going to happen to these heathen nations. So yeah, that's actually going to happen. Okay? Is that Isaiah 63? The day of vengeance is in Yahweh Shai's heart. So yeah, who the world calls Jesus, he is going to be beating. He is going to be beating Edomites and heathens with whips, and he's going to be beating them down and torturing them. Yeah, that's going to happen in the kingdom of heaven. But now, as touching his people, the Israelites, Yahweh Shai is not going to be doing that. He's not going to be beating and whipping our people on the back end. No. Okay. Because Yahweh Shai's servants are serving him. Why would Yahweh Shai beat his own servants that's serving him? No. Okay. Vocab Malone is not serving Yahweh Shai. Okay. He's serving his own belly, really. And vocab Malone, like I said, if you're an Edomite, okay, who you call Christ, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, he's going to be beating and whipping you on the back in the kingdom of heaven. Okay, all of the Israelites are going to be beating and whipping you Edomites and you heathens in the kingdom of heaven. Okay, in the book of Psalms. Doesn't it not say, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us? Happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. That's going to happen. Okay? During the time of slavery here in America, y'all whipped us on the back, y'all beat us, y'all spat on us, y'all kicked us around, y'all tortured us. And even after slavery, there was lynchings, public lynchings, heads being chopped off, torture, murder, all kind of stuff. Children our children were being kidnapped and raped. You see what I mean, man? Let's continue.
White people here in America. Is Christ gonna? Because you say
Well, I don't know why you're saying y'all. I mean, what's that to do?
You say Christians. You say Christians. You say Christians. So I'm saying, as far as you Christians,
but who are the Christians, though? The true Christians are the Israelites. A Christian is a follower of Yahweh Shai. And Yahweh Shai is not going to be beating his followers. He's not going to be beating and whipping his followers, okay? Point blank, period. Now, as touching Yahweh Shai's enemies, yeah. Okay, when he come back, he's going to be shooting laser beam on his enemies. He's going to be burning them with pure concentrated fire. And then when he get these Edomites, starting with Amalek, the so-called elites, and these other rulers, when he get these Edomites and these heathens into slavery, he's literally going to be whipping and beating them in the kingdom of heaven. That's actually going to happen. And yeah, when Yahweh Shai come back, he is gonna wipe out 2/3 of our people. Okay, here on the soils of America. Okay, but when our people come back in the kingdom of heaven, they're gonna be in the right mind. They're gonna be perfect. Because they are going to be born with the law, statutes, and commandments in their mind, embedded in their mind. So they're never going to go off. Okay, so
is Christ, is Christ going to be the type of slave master to your people as you were to my people?
This is not really what the debate's about.
Yahweh Shai is going to be a slave master to the Edomites. Yeah, Yahweh Shai is going to own slaves. Okay, especially the one that pierced him in his side while he was on that cross. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Yahweh Shai has a special chain and shackle for that particular slave. Okay.
I'm just saying,
it is about slavery and having slaves.
Yes.
So I just want to focus on.
But here's the thing that comes.
You brought up certain points that didn't involve the actual subject, but
I hear you.
It kind of like, I understand why you're bringing them in, because when you talk about trying to justify enslaving one group of people, of course other things come up that involves, making them our servants. But
I mean, you're not really, your position, and you're not anti-slavery.
Well, no, I'm not anti-slavery because the Bible's not anti-slavery.
Here's what you've got going on. You believe.
Do you think this guy right here looks like me? Do you think this guy looks like me?
This is
Do
really
you think this guy looks like
bro.
me? Do you think all people in Africa look exactly the same to you, huh?
No. Do you believe that you're going to have a situation where people who look like Katazak,
the Lord put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
of ISUPK, are going to own black slaves?
Well, I believe Katazak. Yeah, I think Katazak gonna own people that look like this right here.
You see, and that's the problem, When people hear the word black, they think of Africans, they think of so-called Negroes. But I just read out of the Zondervan's Bible Compact Dictionary that the Lord put a difference. But I just read out of the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary, which is the actual book that you can order to your house, out of the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary, which was written by your people, Vocab Malone. Out of that Bible, it says that Ham became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes. So don't categorize us as black, because we are not black. We are the true Hebrew Israelites. Okay? These people right here, these people right here, these are your Africans. Okay? These people right here descend from Ham. Okay? Now, Jacob is Shemitic. Jacob, our forefather Jacob, he was Shemitic. Okay? These Africans are Hamitic, meaning these Africans come from the line of Ham.
Here, he gonna own these people. He gonna let who else is Katazak gonna own? He gonna own this doodle eating African right here, the Maasai. He gonna own them. Yeah, he gonna own some black slaves, some black skinned slaves, just like he's gonna own a bunch of your cousins in here.
Do you think the Khadazah will be able to have sex with any of the black slaves he wants?
Well, I believe that Israelites are going to be.
Well, that's in the scriptures. We are going to have concubines. Yeah, that's in the scriptures. Okay, King Solomon, he had 1,000 wives. Okay, he had 1,000 wives, and amongst those wives were what? Concubines. I believe he had 700 wives and 300 concubines. Come on, man.
They having sex with their slaves? Man, what type of retarded question is that, bro? What type of retarded question? No, we're not going to be. No, first of all, we are the holy children of God. We're not going to be sticking our penises in no other person but our women.
Nope, you're wrong there. Nope, see? Nope, see? Now see that, see, he went off. He went off. Let's get the scripture on that. Let's get the scripture on that. Hold on, man. Bible, okay? When thou seest amongst the captives a beautiful. Okay? Hey, we're going to have concubines in the kingdom of heaven. What is a concubine? A woman that is a wife of another nation. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 21 verse 11. Here, let's start at verse 10. Deuteronomy 21 verse 10. When thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, who are our enemies? The heathen nations. Our enemies, our natural enemies, is anybody who is not an Israelite. So if your father's lineage do not descend from so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians, which are the true Hebrew Israelites, then guess what? You're an enemy of our nation. So when thou goest forth against thine enemies, and the Lord thy power have delivered them into thine hands, and thou hast taken them captive, right? Meaning we have them as slaves, right? We take them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman. Okay, and so seest among the captives, among our enemies, among the heathens, a beautiful woman, and has a desire unto her, that thou wouldest take her to thy wife. How does a man take a woman to be his wife? He have sex with her. Okay. Then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails, right? Because she's in mourning, right? Plus, when a woman's hair is her glory, so basically her glory is being taken away from her. Then she shall shave her head and pare her nails, right? So when a woman's head is shaven and her nails is paled, right? That's a sign that her nation has been conquered, right? Just like you look at the women of our nation, the head tribe, the tribe of Judah, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. You look at the women of our nation, right? They're bald-headed. Their glory has been taken away from them. Why? Because we have been conquered as a nation of people. Okay, Deuteronomy 21 verse 13. And she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thine house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. Okay, so all the way until from one new moon to the next, and after that thou shalt go in unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. Go in unto her. How does a man go in unto a woman? How does a man go inside of a woman? He sticks his rod inside her. Okay? So yeah, we're going to have concubines in the kingdom of heaven. Also, let me get this. Okay, Bible, Isaiah. Okay, Bible. They shall bring their sons and daughters. Bible. I know it's in Isaiah, but I don't know the exact verse. It might be Isaiah 60. Okay, Bible, Isaiah. They shall bring their sons and daughters. So bear with me for one moment. They shall bring your sons and daughters. This is not the one I'm looking for. But let's go ahead and continue. I'm not going to continue this much longer. I mean, the point has already been proven.
Okay. So.
But I'm gonna show you that. I'm gonna show you that.
So you'll have black slaves, but you won't have sex with them.
Bro, to have sex with anybody that is not you're not married to is what?
Well, no. What if you have an unmarried African black slave? Would you have sex with that one?
What you mean? Take her as my? Why would I do that? And I thought, matter of fact, let me show you something.
I don't know.
All right, so
brother,
pretty much the point has been made. My laptop is starting to slow down anyway. In Lord's will you were edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. With that, I'm going to say Shalom. So on to the next one.